Hello and welcome back. That One Man here, coach of the Claremont Saws, and today we're going to be talking about the team builder for week 1 of the SCL versus WORDLIFE. WORDLIFE and I have actually played before. This is going to be our second time encountering for the regular season. The first time it was for SKL Season 5, and now our second time is going to be for Safari Zone Season 1. So that's going to be pretty cool. WORDLIFE is a pretty good player as well, so I'm always excited to play good opponents in draft or whatever, since you never know what's going to happen, really. You can have different teams, you can have different styles, you can have counter styles, expecting certain things from them and their habits. So really expecting a good match out of this for our match versus WORDLIFE here. So WORDLIFE has a team of Charizard X, Mega, Tornado Syrian, Necrozma, Whimsicott, Swampert, Qwilfish, Miltank, Genesect, Linoon, Scrafty, and Electros. His 2 Z captains being Tier 1 Tornado Syrian and Tier 5 Miltank. So going into this, the team is fairly balanced. I wouldn't say balanced as in like the playstyle per se, but it's definitely more geared towards bulky offense. It has a lot of big offensive threats, in particular the Tornado Syrian form, which I'm very afraid of. That thing with Z Hurricane, with Z Heat Wave and Sinform Overdrive, stuff like that can be really, really pressuring for my team, and I really need to make sure that I'm prepped for overall just a very aggressive team from him, even though he's going to have like pivots and little things like that to help us bulk it a little bit, but overall I do think he's going to have a very offensive oriented team. Stuff like Charizard X, for example, which I don't really have many counters to. Nothing really comes in versus Fire Dragon coverage on my team. Even something like Necrozma, even without a Z Crystal, I think Necrozma is a big threat because it has so many options for setup options. You can do Calm Mind, Autotomize, Swords Dance, Stealth Rock, you can do all kinds of things with that thing. So that's just a couple things. And then of course his S tier being Genesect is really terrifying, because Genesect can literally slap on so many coverage moves, and I really don't know what it's going to bring to the game unless, I scout for it and all that, and that's always dangerous. So it's going to be quite the interesting match. But going into this, I definitely wanted something offensive, kind of rivaling his offensive playstyle, and for my team, I wanted to make sure I had a good balance of resists to some of his more likely offensive threats, being Charizard, Tornadus, and Genesect, as well as also considering, can I beat certain fast threats with boosted threats, such as, say, a +2 Genesect, +1 Charizard X after Dragon Dance, naturally outspeeding everything with Tornado Syrian form. I need to keep that in account and make sure my speed tiers are okay. So we're going to go into it right away. So our first member right here is going to be Mega Aerodactyl. I thought this was a really good pick, or just a good bring in today's game, because Aerodactyl is probably one of the better Tornado chucks that I have on the team. The only real thing that this gets threatened by is like Z Iron Tail, and I don't really think he's going to. He might waste a slot on that, but I don't really think he is, because, Aerodactyl already naturally outspeeds. He's going to get a hard read on Aerodactyl anyway, so I really don't think he's going to bring that. So the set that I have here for today is kind of like a bulkier set. I'm running Adamant this time around because with 160 speed EVs, I hit 376, which is just enough to outspeed Tim and Tornadus. And then the rest of that is pretty much into HP. This really helps me take hits from stuff like Charizard, for example. +1, the only way he can kill me is Thunder Punch, and he doesn't really have a big purpose to bring Thunder Punch. Like, he could, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if he did or not, but to be quite honest with you, I think Aerodactyl is probably the best way of checking it. I do have also several forms of priority on the team. Not several, but I do have a couple ways to deal with Charizard should Aerodactyl go down. But yeah, just Rock Slide, Stealth Rock, Taunt, Roost. Roost for longevity, obviously. Taunt because it helps me shut down stuff like Swampert. It also helps me shut down potential hazard setters in the form of stuff like Qwilfish or Miltank. It helps me shut down Charizard X if he tries to go for Dragon Dance for some reason. And Rock Slide, I just felt like was the better option over Stone Edge, because even though Stone Edge could, obviously it does more damage and it secures more KOs or whatever, but I think Rock Slide is better just for the accuracy. And, I think that's probably just the best way of going about it. And 92 Adamant does help me do a lot of damage to Tornadus as well, so I believe after Stealth Rock it might kill, I'm not quite sure, but I can try the calculator or something like that. So Aerodactyl is my first pick. I think it's going to be really good versus this game. Second up, I have Salazzle as, of course, my Z captain of the team, and I'm rocking just max attack, max special attack. The fastest thing I have to outspeed is Whimsicott, but Whimsicott is literally one base point under Salazzle anyway, so I figure why even risk it. I'll just bring max speed Salazzle just so I can you know, just there's not that much point in putting like an extra 8 HP or something like that. It might, but I really don't think so. So this time around, I just went with 3-attack Toxic because with HP Grass, Sludge Wave, Fire Blast, it is pretty much unresisted coverage versus the entire team. Apart from maybe Qwilfish, but Qwilfish I really don't think is gonna bring in versus Salazzle. If he's like defensive or Speed F or something like that, then maybe, but even then, I don't really think it's going to be appreciating Sludge Waves or Fire Blast coming from Salazzle, just because Qwilfish's Speed F isn't the greatest thing in the world, so yeah, I think this is a really good pick. Sludge Wave boosted by Poison DMZ is going to be good for nuking stuff like Charizard X, for Necrozma in case he wants to come in on a down and then tries to set up like Calm Minds or something like that. I can go right for the Sludge Wave, or I can even go for Toxic, just because Toxic helps me wear down against the bulkier threats such as Swampert. You can also potentially poison something like Qwilfish because I have the corrosion ability. But besides that, Toxic is mainly there for stuff like Miltank, who he can bring, which does a pretty fair job at walling Salazzle with Thick Fat. It can get Toxics off on something like Tornadus T, which doesn't appreciate Toxic given how much he's going to be switching around with that thing, getting the regenerators and avoiding hazard damage and all that kind of thing. And overall, I think Salazzle is just going to be really good in this matchup. HP Grass obviously for Swampert in case he decides to bring it. If he's Window Barrier or whatever, I'm gonna have to whittle Swampert a little bit in case he is Window Barrier, get him to maybe about like half, and Toxic is gonna help that a lot. Swampert can't come in repeatedly on Sludge Waves and Fire Blast, and if I decide to click the Z button, then I can click the Z button versus it and probably KO it at like 20-30% or something like that. It really depends on the spread, but yeah, Salazzle overall is gonna be mainly hitting like mid game. I feel is going to be the best place, just because that's when stuff just needs to get hit for damage. And the only thing that this gets outsped by, to my knowledge, is Tornadus. Besides like a Scarfer, of course. Tornadus can obviously outspeed this. He can bring in something to check it with a Scarf. But besides that, this is pretty much outspeeding most of his teams. And if I can force in Tornadus with Rocks up, that means that Tornadus can't, you know, you can't do the shenanigans with Flying Z, especially with Aerodactyl on my team as well. So yeah, Salazzle is going to be one of the main offensive mons in this. And I realize also looking at his team that most of his Pokemon actually don't really appreciate Spikes. They also don't like Toxic Spikes that much, which means, well, they don't, well, I didn't bring Toxic Spikes, but Toxic Spikes, I was going to bring it and then I decided against it because he has a Qwilfish, and even though it would be real nice to have Toxic Spikes in the matchup, I think Spikes overall is just fine on its own. I think Spikes on its own is going to be nice because if he tries to switch back and forth between some of his mons, then I can just keep setting up Spikes. Getting 12% off every turn is going to be really great, and for the one Pokemon that doesn't like, or for the two technically, because he has regular Charizard obviously, and I guess Electros, but yeah, Electros is Electros. I don't really think he's going to try to bring that thing, and if he does, props to him. But anyways, Cloyster here is going to be setting with Spikes for us and mainly going to be acting as a suicide lead. It also has Rapid Spin in case I want to spin away something like Rocks from a handful of his Pokemon, actually. A handful of his Pokemon get hazards. Of course, Necrozma, Swampert, as well as Miltank get Stealth Rock, but Qwilfish also gets Spikes and Toxic Spikes. So if I can get those out of the way with Rapid Spin, that would be great. He has no Ghost type, no Rough Skin Mon or anything like that, so it can be really nice for me to get those hazards out of the way. And Sash, of course, just to help me live a potential turn 1, like, I don't know, Tornadus or Whimsicott, I don't know. So yeah, I think this is just the best set for me to bring overall. Cloyster, naturally very good defense as well. Icicle Spear hits for a ton of damage, even with its not uninvested, but 132 adamant, still hits for a good amount of damage. And the speed here in particular, I believe, is for outspeeding, it's there for outspeeding something, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll probably make a note of it in the comments or something like that, but I believe it's there for outspeeding, no, it's for minimal speed something, but I'll make sure to put that in the description so that I can make an amendment. But anyways, Cloyster is going to be really good for that, I think. Just getting off Toxic as well. Toxic is going to be really helpful for something that resists Ice normally. Something like Miltank, if that wants to come in and set up Rocks, because I Rapid Spin them away, I can Toxic it. It being weakened from my Salazzle is going to be really nice so that I can clean up easier late game with Salazzle if I so need to. And yeah, just Cloyster, that's what it's there for. Setting up Spikes, getting Toxics off, spinning away if necessary, and yeah, that kind of thing. So, next member I decided to bring, of course, is going to be Magearna. This time we're going to be rocking an Occaberry on this, because I believe that in my opinion, I think Auguberry is going to be a good bring, because with Auguberry Shift Gear, I'm going to be able to outspeed something like Charizard. I'm going to tank hits from Inferno Overdrive, Tornadus Darien, such that with the spread, I believe I do tank Inferno Overdrive from a Timid Tornadus after Stealth Rock. So with that, I'm going to be able to hit his entire team with Energy Ball, Floor Cannon, and Thunderbolt. I could have brought something else over Energy Ball, and maybe now that I'm looking at it, I could have brought something like Ice Beam, but I think Energy Ball is just the best option because it helps me hit Swampert a little harder, and I don't have to use Floor Cannon to lower my stats or anything, so I think this is just the best spread overall. Thunderbolt, obviously, for something like Tornadus C, that's mainly what Thunderbolt's here for, and because it also hits Genesect for neutral damage, as opposed to my two other options in Energy Ball, Floor Cannon, and Floor Cannon is just a very strong move. It hits his entire team for really good damage. It doesn't have very many berry resist now I'm thinking about it, so Floor Cannon is going to be really strong versus his team. I'll say that much. So next member of the team I'm going to go over is Liepard. By the way, Beginner's Speed is such that I outspeed Tornadus Therian form, as well as I believe +1 Charizard X. So that's going to be really helpful, because with Auguberry I tank a hit, obviously, so that's going to be really nice. I don't think that's about it. So this is basically going to make your set Timid, mainly for late game. I'd say I can't really see myself using this early game or mid game. It's more like a late game, like cleaner sweeper kind of thing. So when stuff's sweeping by rocks, I can kill stuff with Floor Cannon more easily, stuff like that. So next up, I got Liepard here in the bag. Now Liepard is kind of a like a single anti pick in a sense. Liepard isn't here for too much. It taunts, it gets rid of any problematic sweepers that I don't really want to face with Prankster Thunderwave, Prankster Taunt, getting stuff like Qwilfish, for example. So if he has Qwilfish in preview, I'm going to be pretty much always leading with Liepard, just so I can make sure that his hazards stay off my field. It's not really Toxic Spikes I'm really concerned about, because I do have a Salazzle on my team, but I am concerned about Spikes, because it does hit a lot of my team for 12% and even more if you keep stacking them. So Liepard is going to be pretty important to keep around for taunt. I also have Chalonberry, which is probably confusing to most of you, but it's mostly here for Linoon, and hence the speed as well. So max defense 48 gives me a decent odds at surrounding +6 extreme speed from Linoon, and with the speed as well, well, Jolly Light, or I believe Adamant Linoon, and then I have enough speed to outspeed Jolly Linoon, so maybe I should have done something about that. But anyways, that's what I brought, so yeah, that's what I'm bringing. That's what I'm gonna bring, so hopefully it works out. If he has Adamant and it kills me, then props to you, But in any case, Liepard mainly is there to check, again, Linoon with Foul Play, Thunderwave it if I have to. I can also Thunderwave something like Tornadus C or Charizard X, or even Genesect if I really have to, because Genesect could also really get out of hand. Genesect also has extreme speed, which is something to keep in mind as well. They got that as an event move recently. Not recently, but like a year or two ago. I don't know. That thing's usually banned anyway. So, anyways, yeah, Liepard is just kind of here. It's probably one of the more expendable members on the team. I don't really need it at all times, but it's a decent pick versus him. I can definitely work it out in scenarios that I need to, and yeah, that's just all Liepard. And it also has U-turn for momentum gaining as well, so that's going to be all good. Speaking of U-turn, my fourth member is going to be Scarf Primate. Scarf Primate, also a good cleanup member of the team. With Define as well, I can come in on something like a Defog from Tornadus Darien form. Not that I'll do that super often. I don't think it'll happen that often, but it does scare him into a position where he can't always freely click Defog, because if he clicks Defog and I have +2, then I can knock him out with Stone Edge. I can pivot on him with U-turn, I can hit something on his team with Gunk Shot if he feels like bringing in Whimsicott, and to be honest, the only two moves I really needed on this thing were Close Combat U-turn. The other two are kind of fillers, and they don't really need to be there at all times, and Primate's just there for just good speed control at times. If Charizard is Adamant, I do outspeed it with Primate. If he's Jolly, then I force him to take Recoil and all that kind of thing. So, and if he's Jolly, then Magearn always outspeeds that thing, or not outspeeds, but you can come in on that thing and I can take it with Auguberry and stuff like that. So that's pretty much a loose overview of what I'm going to be doing for week 1 versus WORDLIFE. And yeah, it's just I think I got a pretty good odds at winning this. The big thing really here is going to be making sure that my Aerodactyl stays alive, because it's going to be my main rocker. It's going to be my check to stuff like Charizard and Tornadus, which I think are the two biggest threats on his team, apart from like Linoon, which Linoon if Linoon ever does come in on a down, I believe most of my members can handle that thing pretty easily, just because floor cannon from this, foul play taunt from this, close combat from this. Maybe if I lock myself into U-turn or Stone Edge, that could be a little problematic. And this has Toxic plus Icicle Spear, which should be able to do enough to Linoon. This has Z Poison, this has Taunt, you know, just stuff like that. So I think I've got a pretty good shot at it. There is a chance that I might meet him in playoffs as well, so, you know, if that happens, that happens. And we'll just see what happens in week 1. So, week 1 battle coming up pretty soon. The upload should be either today or tomorrow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to be working out the uploads and all that, but in any case, I will be uploading the battle separate from the Teambuilder just because it's a little easier on me, and yeah. I could always combine the two into one video, but I'll see. If anyone has feedback on that, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Just see what you guys want. Would you rather have it in one whole video, one really long video, probably like 40-ish minutes, or would you rather have it broken up into like the Teambuilder as well as the battle, just so that you can see it separately and all that? So, you know, leave your thoughts on that. Leave your thoughts on what my Teambuilder is looking like for week 1 versus him. And yeah, next time I'll see you guys, I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be commentating over my match versus him, and we'll see who comes out on top. So, this has been datoneman, coach of the Claremont Saws, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.